Welcome to chapter 7. We are on breaking down and awakening, and this chapter is going to be a short one. Even in the book, I didn't find it that long. It was quite a short one, and it's about finding the strength, the inner strength in you to finally bring out your true self. Your true self that wants to grow, your true self that wants to be known, your true self that wants to be seen, your true self that wants to express itself, your true self that is the authentic you. And so remember that your true self, even as we go through this, is that your true self can be shut down. It can be hidden and just shoved huko chini by shame, by being being guilt tripped, by being criticized, by being punished, because as we said previously, if a parent cannot hold space for your emotional expression, then you will try to develop a role self that helps you become the person who is acceptable, the person who can be seen only when they act in a particular way. So that is how the true self can be shut down. That's how it can be silenced, by being shamed, by being criticized, by being punished, by being ridiculed. So if you're a parent, if you ridicule your child's true self, true emotions, eventually they are going to learn to bury that deep into their unconscious, and then they will develop this role self that meets your needs at that point. So be very keen about that. Be very keen about shaming people and criticizing them and ridiculing them and judging them for their true self, their true authentic self. So in this chapter, your work is to approach emotional pain, emotional distress, and these uncomfortable emotions with curiosity, because it's this curiosity that helps you learn who you really are. So if you approach it with judgment, with guilt, with shame, it's not going to work. Nobody ever grows when they are being guilt tripped. Nobody ever grows when they are being shamed, when they are being judged. People grow and thrive in places that they are loved, the places they are accepted, the places they are wanted. So even you now treat yourself like somebody who is loved, who is wanted, who is cared for, who is needed, who is seen. Try to see yourself as worthy, and then approach your life, your emotions, your internal state with curiosity, so that you can be able to see what really lies beneath. In this chapter, Dr. Lindsay talked about how you need to wake up from your outdated role self. You need to realize that role self that you developed as a child was just a protective mechanism. You were trying to protect yourself from the emotional loneliness that you're experiencing because your parents were emotionally immature. And it is okay to finally see that for what it was, and then get out of it, and then realize that you don't need to behave in a particular way for you to be loved, for you to be wanted. You are worthy. You need to believe that you're worthy, so that you can shed this role self that you used to play and truly become the real you, truly become the authentic you. So think about that. What ways can you use to shed that role self that you play? How can you show up more fully in the world, authentically, without playing a role? And then remember, the real people will love you for the real you. So do not be afraid that at you're going to lose some people. You what will happen. Eventually, the ones who love you for the real you will show up. They'll be there. So that's not something that should worry you. You need to wake up to what you truly feel. Let's stop this habit of putting feelings in two categories: good or bad. Bad feelings, good feelings. That's not a thing. Remember, your feelings are just emotional reactions, yeah? And so you can't decide that this is a good or a bad feeling. It is a feeling. You can sit with it, understand it, and then act on it. But if you keep rejecting it, when you keep fighting it, denying it, pushing it away, you sweeping it under the rug, it is going to obviously show up. So you need to get to a place where you're very comfortable with sitting with your feelings for what they are, seeing them for what they are, sitting with them, analyzing them, and then making decisions that are objective, decisions that are not emotionally charged. That is the only way that you can handle those feelings. You need to wake up to your anger. If after listening to this entire series so far, and you're realizing there's a lot of anger that is coming up because you're just realizing, oh my gosh, I was raised up by very emotionally immature parents. And I am quite angry about this. It's okay. It's okay to feel that anger, because remember, this anger is telling you that something was wrong. And it's okay to experience that anger. You just need to be aware that it is anger, and you just need to find ways to express it in a healthy way. That means that you find healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with that anger. Wake up to better self-care. This is a time to remember that self-care is a maintenance strategy. This is that thing you do on a daily basis so that you don't get to a crisis. So if you're waiting to get to a crisis so that you can do self-care, then you're doing self-care wrong. Self-care is not something that you do as an emergency response. Self-care is a daily practice. Self-care is a minute by minute practice. The way you talk to yourself, the way you take care of your body, your sleeping habits, your nutrition, exercising, being mindful, being present, listening to your body when it gives you cues. All that is self-care. So you need to develop that as a way of being. You need to make self-care as a way of being. It's not something that you do when there's an emergency, when you find yourself now you're in an emotional crisis, and now that's when you're like, oh my gosh, I need to go and do self-care. That's not going to work, because it's those things we say prevention is better than cure. And in this case, for you to prevent, you need to maintain a self-care strategy. So think about that, explore a few things on self-care, and we can do an entire topic on self-care. If that's something that you're curious about, I can always speak about that. You need to wake up through relationship problems. Remember, as I said sometime in a few videos ago, when we are trying to find relationships, we look for relationships that are familiar. Most of the times we look for relationships that are familiar. And that's why you see that thing where you meet someone and you keep saying, oh my gosh, we have chemistry. Hey, this person, bana, we just like click proper. That is something that there's this very, very interesting doctor who was saying that is developmental deja vu. That is emotional deja vu. In your mind, the moment somebody clicks like that, that time you feel like you have chemistry. That is your body remembering an emotional state that you've been in before. This is somebody who triggers something familiar in you. So just because somebody feels like you guys have chemistry, remember it could also be trauma reminding you that this person is familiar. Yeah. So don't always assume that chemistry is the perfect thing to have with someone, because that chemistry, remember, it comes like a flood. It's always, this person is so awesome, they're so great, they're in my life, I am enjoying, kuna passion, we are just ever tuko tu hapa. It's like we are cruising on cloud 9, like everything is intense, emotions are so intense, everything is just intense, and you're like, bana, this one is the one. But then again, if your body and your mind is able to recognize their presence like that, it means that you've been there before, because that is your mind remembering where you've been before. This person is familiar. That's why you can connect with them that easily. So there's an aspect of them that feels familiar. And so if you're looking for familiar people in your relationships, you might find yourself repeating the same painful, traumatic experiences that you've gone through in childhood. So if this person feels familiar because they are rejecting, like we said before, if they are rejecting, they're usually unavailable, and umezoea hiyo chaos ya mtu unavailable, mtu mwenye hata shiki simu zako ajue kwa wapi, and then suddenly they show up, you'll be like, okay, yeah, I think this is going okay, because yeah, but I know how to handle myself when I'm dealing with somebody who is unfamiliar. I've been in my childhood, I grew up in places where I was rejected. So if this person is rejecting me, so it's the same case when somebody is passive. If you in your childhood you were brought up by a parent who was very passive, and then you meet somebody who is very passive, they will feel familiar, because first of all, you already know in your mind and in your body how to react to passivity. Umezoea kupatiwa wewe ni free range, kuku ya kienyeji, you can just run around wherever you want. Nobody will stop you. Where enda rudi when you want, because this person does not set boundaries around you. And so you'll find that people who, especially people who are raised by passive parents, find it very difficult to respect boundaries, because for them, they don't understand them, and they don't understand limits, as we mentioned in a previous chapter. So yeah, remember, if you're looking for relationships that feel familiar, you might find yourself repeating painful, traumatic patterns that you experienced in childhood. And so this is your time to wake up and realize you need to analyze your relationships and the patterns that you always fall for. What are your relationship patterns that you can see, and how are they connected to your childhood and your upbringing? That is something that is quite very important, so that you don't keep repeating the same things. You don't keep meeting the same people, making the same relationship mistakes with the same people, only that they look different, you know. So that is something that is quite important. You need to wake up from idealizing people. Stop seeing people as gods. Stop seeing people as demons. So idealizing and demonizing. Stop seeing people as good or bad. Stop seeing people in two categories. People are not like that. Humans are not meant to be perfect. And so you need to learn how to see people objectively. See them for the humans that they are. We are all human beings. We are all flawed, and we all have good aspects of, we all have good sides. And so our duty is to see people for who they are. Stop seeing people as gods and demons, angels and demons. They're either good or they're bad. You know, there's nothing like that. See people objectively. See them for who they are, and you will find that it makes relationships quite easier, because then you don't start placing expectations on people. Because if you are considering this person at you too, this is a very good person, this is a god, this is an angel, unajua unamwona msini msimpoa kabisa, you know, the expectations that you will create about that person, because you've decided that this person is really, really good. So with these expectations, if they don't meet those perfect expectations that you have for them, you're going to start being like, hey bana, what happened? Me, I thought you were this good person, and they're like, why? See, me, I'm a human being. I was bound to make mistakes. I was bound to disappoint you at some point. Why would you think that I was going to be perfect all through? And you know it's unfair for them, because now they're living up to expectations that they never created in the first place. You created expectations in your mind about what people should meet, and then when they don't meet those expectations, you get angry and resentful. And yet it's because you're seeing these people as angels and demons. You're seeing these people as, you've idealized them completely. You believe that these people are gods. They can always be up there. They're on the pedestal. They're the people that can always be relied on for everything all the time. And you're forgetting that nobody can be 100% all the time like that. Yeah. So stop idealizing people. Stop demonizing people. See people objectively. See them for who they are, and give people grace. Give people the same grace that you give yourself. Give yourself grace to heal, to become better, and give people grace to heal, to become better. You need to wake up to your strengths. Remember that kila mtu akona some strengths that they have in who they are. Kuna vitu you're really good at. It's okay to see those things, and it's not pride, it's not arrogance, it's just being aware that I am really good at these things. These are my strengths. It is okay to know your strengths, because when you're working on your strengths, you're making yourself feel better. You're making your life better. You will always gravitate towards the things that make you more successful. So it's okay for you to wake up to your strengths. It's not pride or arrogance. Kujijua na kujua vitu zenye wewe ni mpoa nazo is a good thing, because it helps you look for opportunities that amplify your strengths. You need to wake up to new values and edit your life narrative. I know as humans we want this cohesive story about who we are. Hapa ndio nilizaliwa, hivi ndio niligrow up, hivi ndio nimeishi, hapa ndio niko saa hii, this is how I feel, this is how I react, we want this cohesive story, and it is okay to want that. But you have to remember that it is also okay to edit your story. You're not stuck in one story, and your story can change. It's your story. Patia watu plot twists hivi. Jipatie plot twists whenever you need it, you know. Like, it's okay to edit your life story and start afresh. It's okay to be somewhere in the middle of the chapter of your story and be like, you know what, this chapter is not working. By the way, I don't think this chapter even needs to be in this book. Let me now start something different. Let me move forward and become something different. It's okay for you to wake up and decide that you want to change your career. It's okay to wake up and decide you want to go back to school. It's okay to wake up and decide you want to start a business. It's okay for you to wake up and decide you want different people in your life. It's okay to wake up and decide you want to confront people who have been emotionally neglectful to you. It's okay to wake up and decide I want to have a conversation with them and hear what their perspective was. It's also okay to be like, you know what, history mean shakubali, najua they were doing the best with what they had, and they were not bad people, they were just reacting how they could, and I let it go, and let's create a new chapter. Let's become better people together, let's develop, you know. So it's okay to plot twist your entire story. Do not feel like you need to stick to one script. You don't have to stick to one script. And as a person who has not stuck to one script in my life, I can speak for people who do not stick to one script. We can talk about that in a separate video. So yeah, you don't have to edit your life story however you feel like. You're the author. Wewe ndio kusema. Edit your life story whichever way you want. It is your life story. You get to live that life. So do what you need to do. You need to wake up from your childhood emotional injuries and see reality for what it is, so that you can build a life without repeating the harm. And this ties back to everything that we've just spoken in the last couple of points. That the moment you realize that your childhood happened, it happened the way it happened. You cannot edit history. This is not the option where we get to revise history, because our childhood was what it was. See it for what it was. Then you can start to build a relationship and a life ahead of you that does not repeat the same mistakes. So if you are brought up by emotionally immature parents, you don't have to have kids and then bring them up emotionally immaturely, because now you know better as an adult. You can choose to create a new life for yourself and for your kids if you're a parent, and even for the people around. If you're not a parent and you have other people around you, it's okay for you to treat them differently. It's okay for you to realize that yes, my childhood was painful. I was emotionally lonely. I suffered emotional neglect, and this is how I turned out. But then I can do different. I can go to therapy, or I can self-educate. I can read books. I can watch videos like these ones, and learn better to be better. And then I can create a life that is healthy. You don't have to live in the same pain that you lived through when you were a child. Remember, as we said, as a child, you didn't have a plan B. You didn't have the option of walking out of that family and saying, nimeenda kutafuta familia mpya. But now as an adult, you can wake up and decide to build a new life. You can wake up and decide to build healthy relationships. You can wake up and decide to build a healthy relationship with your parents who are emotionally neglecting. You can choose to wake up and see them for who they are and treat them for what they are, if they're not willing to change, if they're not willing to accommodate you. And it is okay. It doesn't hurt anybody, because you're doing better by yourself. You're going to create a life that is healthy for you and healthy for the people around you. So I feel that I have spoken a lot about that point and about this chapter in general. So it's time to wake up. It's time to open our eyes. It's time to do better, because we know better. With that said, I am concluding chapter 7. And in the next chapter, which is chapter 8, we are going to be talking about how to avoid getting hooked by an emotionally immature parent. So now that you're an adult, this is going to be a helpful chapter, because now this is where you have awoken. Si umefanya spiritual awakening. Sasa umejijua. Umeanza ku develop better relationships. This is where now you avoid that cycle of getting hooked by an emotionally immature parent again. So I look forward to seeing you in that one, and we shall connect there. Leave any questions, any comments, any experiences you'd like to share in the comment section below, and see you on chapter 8. Bye.